After the dissolution of the Soviet Union, Russia inherited its close relationship with India, which resulted in both nations sharing a special relationship. Russia and India both termed this relationship as a special and privileged strategic partnership. Let's see Moscow as a strategic partner. Traditionally, the Indo-Russian strategic partnership has been built on 5 major components: politics, defense, civil nuclear energy, anti-terrorism cooperation, and space. These 5 major components were highlighted in a speech given by former Indian Foreign Secretary Rajan Mathai in Russia. However, in recent years, a 6th economic component has grown in importance, with both countries setting a target of reaching $30 billion in bilateral trade by 2025 from about $9.4 billion in the year 2017. In order to meet this goal, both countries are looking to develop a free trade agreement. Bilateral trade between both countries in 2012 grew by over 24%. India-Russia strategic relations are unique in many ways. The 1971 Indo-Soviet Treaty was binding only for the former Soviet Union, which guaranteed Soviet military protection over India. Making full use of this treaty, India has been able to maintain its strategic autonomy and avoid entrapment in alliance formations to contain threats from Pakistan and China. Between 1957 and 1971, the Soviet Union used its veto power 6 times to torpedo resolutions against India. India has not had to rely on Russia for a veto since the end of Cold War. But with tension over Kashmir still high amid sporadic fighting, New Delhi will want to ensure that Moscow is on its side should it come before the Security Council again. In large part, India's close relationship with Russia stems from Cold War allegiances. India drifted into Soviet orbit mostly as a counter to America's strategic alliance with Pakistan, India's subcontinental adversary. India is also hopeful of Russian support, or at least neutrality, in its long-standing border dispute with People's Republic of China. India and China share a border of more than near 3,500 km, the location of which has been contested for 80 years, including during a war in 1962 that failed to settle the matter. Above all, India does not want Russia to side with China should there be further clashes in the Himalayas, especially since the border dispute has again come to the fore since 2020, with significant skirmishes between the Indian Army and China's People Liberation Army. Now let's see Russia as supplier for weapons. India is also severely dependent on Russia for a range of weaponry. In fact, 60% to 70% of India's conventional arsenal is of either Soviet or Russian origin. Over the past decade, New Delhi has sought to significantly diversify its weapons acquisitions. To that end, it has purchased more than $20 billion worth of military equipment from the US over the past decade or so. Nevertheless, it's still in no position to walk away from Russia as far as weapons sales are concerned. To compound matters, Russia and India have developed close military manufacturing ties. For nearly 2 decades, the two countries have co-produced the highly versatile BrahMos missile, which can be fired from ships, aircraft, or land. India recently received its first export order for the missile from the Philippines. This defense link with Russia could be severed only at considerable financial and strategic cost to India. Also, Russia, unlike any Western country including the United States, has been willing to share certain forms of weapons technology with India. For example, Russia has leased an Akula-class nuclear submarine to India. No other country has been willing to offer India equivalent weaponry, in part over concerns that the technology will be shared with Russia. In any case, Russia is able to provide India with high technology weaponry at prices significantly lower than any Western supplier. Not surprisingly, despite significant American opposition, India chose to acquire the Russian S-400 missile defense battery. Now, energy reliance. It's not just India's defense industry that is reliant on Moscow. India's energy sector is also inseparably tied to Russia. Since the George W. Bush administration ended India's status as a nuclear outcast, a designation it had held for testing nuclear weapons outside the bounds of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, India has developed a civilian nuclear program. Although the sector remains relatively small in terms of total energy production, it's growing and Russia has emerged as a key partner. After the US-Indian Civilian Nuclear Agreement of 2008 allowed India to participate in normal civilian nuclear commerce, Russia quickly signed an agreement to build 6 nuclear reactors in the country. Neither the US nor any other Western country has proved willing to invest in India's civilian nuclear energy sector because of a rather restrictive nuclear liability law which holds that the manufacturer of the plant or any of its components would be liable in the event of an accident. But since the Russian government has said it will assume the necessary liability in the event of a nuclear accident, it has been able to enter the nuclear power sector in India. Western governments, however, are unwilling to provide such guarantees to their commercial companies. Away from nuclear power, India also has invested in Russian oil and gas fields. India's state-run Oil and Natural Gas Commission, for example, has long been involved in the extraction of fossil fuels of Sakhalin Island, a Russian island in the Pacific Ocean. And given that India imports close to 85% of its crude oil requirements from abroad, albeit only a small fraction from Russia, it's hardly in a position to shut off Russian spigot. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken recently noted that India's relationship with Russia has developed over decades at a time when the United States was not able to be a partner of India, and suggested that Washington was prepared now to be that partner. But given the diplomatic, military and energy considerations, it's difficult to see India deviating from its balancing act over Russia anytime soon. So guys, this was for today. Give us your thoughts on this in the comment section. And if you appreciate our content, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with your family and friends. We will meet soon in a new video. Thank you. Jai Hind.